In biblical times, a talent was a unit of money that varied in value according to the location it was being used. In our time, we use the word to describe a special ability that a person may have, a talent for speaking, a talent for singing, or any of the arts that man has been blessed with. The truth of the matter is, we are all blessed with some type of talent, and it's quite possible that Jesus had this in mind when he taught the lesson on the talents. The nobleman gave to each servant the amount of talents that they were able to handle, and he expected them to invest their talents and put them to work. One would think that with the passing of nearly 20 centuries of time that there would be some improvements in those characteristics that identify us as human beings. But in this case, it's not so. In our narrative, the one who had the least responsibility, the one who we would think would surely succeed, fell flat on his face. And there's a lesson here for us. Reasons may vary as to why we do something that we should not do and leave undone something that we should do. The servant with the one talent said that he was afraid. He knew that his master drove a hard bargain, that he gathered where he did not sow, or so he thought. His problem was not that he failed. His problem was that he did nothing. His problem was that he did not even try, and therein he was a miserable failure at what his master had instructed him to do. But what does all this have to do with us? Our first reaction when having talent is mentioned as something like, oh, sure, well, I've got this, but how should I use it? Who am I to use this talent that I may have? Well, folks, one's talent may be limited to simply being able to offer a kind word or to be able to provide some form of benevolence to someone who is in need. But regardless of how insignificant our talents may seem to us, God expects us to use those in service to Him. But as we look at our lesson again, there's one thing that stands out. When talents, regardless of what kind they are put to use, they're going to multiply. The 5, when put to work, grew to 10. The 2 also doubled their value. And the reward for each who put their talents to work was the same. I will make thee ruler over many things. Now, you mean the one who made 5 talents gets the same reward as the one that made only 2? Well, this is where we sometimes get our values mixed up. Each of these servants was given the amount of talents according to their ability. As to their accomplishments, the one with 5 talents increased the amount to 10 talents, 100%. The one with 2 talents increased the amount to 4 talents, 100%. It doesn't take a very wise person to see that Jesus is telling us that it isn't the abilities we may have that count, but it's what we do with those talents that really count. Had either the servant with 5 talents or the one with 2 talents buried them, their punishment would have been the same as the one who did so with 1. As he looks back on life from the cradle to the grave, the man of wisdom makes this observation: fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Friends, few, if any, ever lived a fuller life than did Solomon. He had riches, he had fame, he had power, and he had wisdom. Friends, we would say he had it all, and yet as he drew near to the end of his life, this is the legacy that he leaves for us. Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. God desires us to do just that. And He did not leave us without endowing us with our individual talents according to our ability to accomplish it. The teacher tells us, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. The doctors today are telling us that we need to exercise more. Well, instead of burying our talents, perhaps we should exercise them more if we want to be healthy in this regard spiritually. And friends, this is just another jewel that Jesus has left for us on this journey to Calvary. Friends, we thank you for joining us today. We pray that you have a blessed day and a wonderful weekend.